Welcome to the weekly dose. B'Shem Hashem na'aseh v'nasliyah. A story is told of a young man that survived the Holocaust. And as he witnessed all the atrocities, as he witnessed the loss of every single person in his family, he made a promise. And that promise was that he is never, ever going to have anything to do with anything Jewish. Nothing to do with Judaism. I guess it was for him the safer route. From now on, if I survive, he said, I am no longer Jewish. And if I am lucky enough to have a family, I'm definitely not going to raise my family as Jews. And this man did survive. Moved to New York City. Became a businessman. And little by little, he had a lot of Zakhai. He became very, very wealthy. He married a young woman, just so happened to be Jewish, not that he really cared. And they started raising a family. They had their first boy. Years passed, and this boy became of age to become bar mitzvah. Now to him, it really didn't matter. But for some reason, he felt like he needs to do something for his son on his bar mitzvah. It is an important day after all. He is 13. He is becoming a man. So why not do something for him? So he decides, he tells his son, son, for your 13th birthday, I've decided I'm going to buy you whatever you want. And I'll tell you what, on the day of your 13th birthday, we'll go out to the mall. And whichever store you want, choose. And I will buy you anything you want. How about we go to the electronics store? Maybe buy you the most recent computers that came out. And buy you some games, some different things you could do. And his son is ecstatic. He's so excited. The day of his bar mitzvah comes. And father and son both get up and they go to the mall. And they go to the electronics store. And the salesman starts showing them from one computer to the other, one gadget to the other. And the father sees that his son is a little bit not there. In fact, he's looking out the window across the mall. And his father tries to grab his attention to look at the different computers there. And his son says, Daddy, can we please go across the mall to that store, to the other store? And the father looks and it's an antique store with a bunch of old things in it. But he says, I did promise him whatever he wants, so let's go. I can afford it. They go into this antique shop and the son starts looking around and he sees a menorah on one of the shelves. And the boy says, Dad, this is what I want. Now mind you, this was not an ordinary menorah. In fact, it wasn't even a nice menorah. It was just something put together out of wood as if a child put it together. It was ugly and it really didn't look like it even would work. The father looks at him and he says, are you crazy? You could pick whatever you want. You could have all the electronics you want. I'll spend thousands of dollars, but this is a piece of junk. Why would you want this? The son says, Dad, you told me whatever I want. This is what I want. Father says, fine. You want to waste my money? Go ahead. Looks at the store owner and says, we'll take this art. And the man says, I'm sorry, but that piece is not for sale. Father says, what do you mean? It's just a piece of junk. It's pieces of wood put together. He says, yes, I understand, but it's not for sale. So the father looks at his son and says, son, I guess it's not for sale. Pick something else. He says, no, Dad, this is what I want. So the father looks at the salesperson and says, listen, I'll pay you whatever you want. Tell me, you want $5,000? I'll pay you $5,000 for it. And they go back and forth. And the store owner says, listen, this is not for sale. And he says, well, why? He says, because this was something that was passed to me. And it survived the Holocaust. And it was actually made by an inmate, by a Jew that lived through the Holocaust. No one even knows if the person that made it actually ever used it, and even if they survived. That's why it's very important to me. I don't like to sell this piece. So the man says, listen, I'll pay you $10,000 for it. Finally, the salesperson gives in and sells him this, what looked like a piece of junk, for $10,000. Brings it home. He has this feeling inside like he's just wasted $10,000. And the son takes it upstairs and he puts it on the shelf as if he just bought some precious diamonds. A few days later, sounds of scream come from the son's bedroom. Mother and father both rush to the bedroom and they see the son sitting on the floor in tears and pieces of the menorah, pieces of wood all over the floor. What happened? What did you do? And he says, Dad, I really didn't do anything. I just hit it by accident, and it fell down and it just broke into pieces. And a father starts shouting and he says, I spent $10,000 on this piece of junk. I told you this is not what we should have bought. Now there is no return policy on this. It's an antique. And the mother looks at the husband and says, listen, give the kid a break. He didn't mean to do it. Leave him alone. This was his birthday gift. It was his to begin with. Let him do whatever he wants. So father feels bad, sits on the floor, and tries as much as he can with the boy to put this menorah back together again. And as he's trying to push the pieces together that didn't even fit to begin with, a small piece of paper falls out of one of the candeliers. Opens the piece of paper, and he begins to read as his son and his wife watch. Tears start rolling down his cheeks, and he starts to shake. And his wife says, what does it say? What happened to you? And he starts to read out loud. It says, if you're reading this, and if by any chance of a miracle you happen to be my son, I hope that if I was not able to light this menorah in this darkest of places, someday you, my son, will be able to light this menorah and bring light to the world. And he looks up with tears and says, it's signed by my father. And that Hanukkah, this family lit their first menorah ever. And they began to become closer and closer to their Judaism. This week, we started our journey out of Mitzrayim. We became a nation, the Jewish nation. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu, our God, promised us something. And he said, once I've brought you out of Mitzrayim, I have chosen you to be my people. There is no returns. No matter where you go, no matter how you feel, no matter how low you go, I will always be there. And I will always find a way to bring you back, because you are my child. As upset as you might be, as disappointed as you might get in life, I will always be there behind you, and I will always bring you back to me. And that is our promise from Hashem. May Hashem always help us to find our way and become closer to Him. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen. Amen.